Okay, hello and welcome to JAR Stage 5 PsychTalk presentation. My name is Willow Lenhausen, and this is my journal article review. First of all, let's talk about the author's name. The author of this article is Janina Steinmetz, a Bayes Business School graduate at the City University of London in the UK. My topic or article presentation is about too little money or time, using justifications to maintain a positive image after a self-control failure. So basically, research has shown that people frequently fail at exerting self-control, yet having good self-control is essential for being trusted and relied on. In this research, or in the article's research, not my research, I test which common and frequent excuses for self-control failure resulting from lack of time or money allow people to maintain an image of good self-control despite failure. In 6 studies, using different types of self-control domains, I show that participants perceive someone who failed at a resolution to nevertheless have good self-control if they fail because of lack of money versus time to follow through. Alright, so next, on to the methods section. This is going to be a little bit redundant from the last point that I talked about. However, just bear with me. So the researchers conducted a series of 6 studies to investigate how people perceive failure in self-control attributed to lack of money versus lack of time, and the implications of all these perceptions. Here's a summary of their approach. So, study 1. Participant read about a person who failed at a New Year's resolution to eat healthily, either because of lack of money, lack of time, or no excuse. They then rated the person's trait self-control. This tested the primary hypothesis that failure due to lack of money would be perceived as reflecting better self-control than those to lack of time or no excuse. So, second, studies 2A and 2B. These studies examine the underlying mechanisms focusing on the perceived controllability of failure. Study 2A used a scenario about failing to work out with a personal trainer due to lack of money or time to generalize the findings beyond healthy eating. It measured participants' judgments of perceived controllability and self-control. Study 2B manipulated controllability with the same excuse to isolate its effect on perceived self-control. So, studies 3 and 4. These focused on behavioral consequences by testing how perceived self-control based on excuse type, money versus time, affected participants' willingness to rely on or choose the person who failed as a partner for interdependent tasks. What are the weaknesses of the article? Limited scope of excuses. The research focuses primarily on 2 common excuses for self-control failure: lack of money and lack of time. While important, this narrow focus excludes other potentially relevant reasons for failure that individuals may use, such as personal health issues, life problems, or family emergencies, which could affect perceptions differently. So, next point. Generalizability across domains. Most studies centered on the domains like healthy eating and exercising. These specific contexts might limit the generalizability of findings to other self-control domains or goal pursuits where different social norms or values apply. And that's another limitation of the study. Most of the people that were surveyed, so there were about 100 to 300 participants that were surveyed for each study. There were 6 studies, so that's a total of 1,800 participants total, if we had the max number of participants for each study. But yes, the majority of all of the participants that were surveyed for these studies were all from Western culture. So basically, they were all from North America, and that's one limitation of the study. They could have surveyed people around the world or in different countries to get a more well-rounded answer on the results. Limited cultural diversity. Participant samples were recruited mainly from platforms like Prolific Academic and Reflect, Western educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic populations. Hence, cultural differences in how excuses are perceived may not be captured and restrict broader applicability. So, those are all of our those are all of our limitations, and there's more too. Let me just see. So we can even say the simplification of controllability. The manipulation of controllability via scenarios, emergency repairs versus choosing a hobby, may oversimplify the complex ways in which people assess control in real life. Real self-control failures typically arise from multifaceted circumstances and are not easily attributable to 2 or 3 different reasons. So, all in all, this was an interesting study. It was interesting to look at the reasons why people fail at self-control and what their justifications were. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks again for listening, and have a great night.